So I really think that relatively late in my life, like in my 50s, I figured out that what I was really interested in was creation of social capital. And during that decade, I also figured out that, I met Michael Porter. You wouldn't think I would be learning about medicine from someone from Harvard Business School. But what Michael Porter said to me and another one of my colleagues is, look, you guys are doing wonderful things, but it's not the same as organizing care around meeting the needs of patients. As soon as he said that, I knew he was right. And that was like an epiphany for me that, okay, this is supposed to be about patients. We are supposed to be improving the way we work together to meet the needs of patients. We should be measuring it, improving it, incenting it. This is what it's about. It is different. That is different from just doing a good job at what it is we're trained to do.
The defining theme was that I was raised by a family that believed in giving back. We had a strong faith in our family, and I was just raised to believe that if there were a way you could help others, you were expected to do that. And certainly my mother's own life, which was very difficult, showed me that people can overcome terrible obstacles in their life if they have support. And I decided when I was really in college and law school that I wanted to try to find a way to contribute. So when I was in law school, I got very interested in child development, and I took an extra year studying at the Yale Child Study Center with some great groundbreaking people in the field of child development. And I also worked at the Yale New Haven Hospital on what was then, back in 1970, 71, 72, what was then a new concept of child abuse and neglect. And I went to work for the Children's Defense Fund. So it was a way of fitting together my personal interests, my growing academic, intellectual interests about kids. So my real entryway was how to do the best for kids and how to, as I've said often, do everything we can to give every child a chance to live up to his or her God-given potential.
I was actually working on Wall Street and didn't like it, and I didn't like New York because I'm a total outdoors person. So I had a friend who was going to Columbia General Studies. I hadn't taken a single science course in college, and I figured if she can do it, I can do it. So I went to night school and got organic chemistry and all that kind of stuff, and went to Albert Einstein College of Medicine, where I fortunately met my wife, and we both went to Vermont and have lived there ever since. So that's how I got to be a physician.
But the work in healthcare is very much what has attracted me to economics all along, which is it helps you figure out the so what part of policy research. Now that you know something, what difference does it make? Who does it make a difference to? Will it be useful for somebody to make a decision they might not have been able to make as well as they could? And helping people has very much been part of what I've done at Project Hope, which is bringing health opportunities to people around the world and sharing our knowledge and expertise and technology, but also serving in government, which is a great honor.
The real choice to sort of dedicate my time to try to improve the healthcare system and really fix health policy came in the emergency room at the Beth Israel Hospital in Boston. I was a medical intern, and we had this patient who was an intravenous drug user, and he was on our service for endocarditis, and at those days getting IV antibiotics in the hospital. And I remember after 6 weeks, we finally discharged him. We thought everything was great. Cultures were clean. And 2 weeks later, he was right back in the emergency room. Same problem. And I was like, this sucks, right? We treated the illness, we did not treat the underlying problem. We sent them out with no supports. We did not send them out to fully connected to drug rehab and fully in place. And I was like, we cannot just do the Band-Aids. We have to solve these underlying social problems and do a much better job in continuity of care. So that led me to begin thinking about a whole series of things. It wasn't a direct path because I did a lot of bioethics, and then I then came back to sort of thinking about the health policy issues.
Profoundly and suicidally depressed when I was 19, when I was a freshman in college, and came about as close as you can to committing suicide as you could without actually doing it. And what saved me was, it's a long story, but the short version is that my older sister was a child of the 60s, and she studied with an ecumenical yoga teacher named Swami Satchidananda, and it really helped her. So my parents decided to have a cocktail party for the Swami. When in Dallas in 1972, that was kind of strange. And there's an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and so that was certainly true for me. So in walks this kind of central casting's idea of a Swami, and he gave a little lecture in our living room, and he started out by saying, nothing can bring lasting happiness, which I'd already figured out, which is why I was so depressed. But he looked really happy, and I was like, what am I missing here? And he went on to say, what really changed my life, which is that nothing can bring you lasting happiness, but that we have that already, that we're born happy, we're generally born healthy, and not being mindful of that, we end up running after these things like, if only I had more or whatever, then I'd be happy. And then until you get it, you're not happy. If someone else gets it, you're really not happy. And even if you get it, it's great for a little bit, but then it's never enough. It's like, now what, or so what? So I thought, okay, well, I can always kill myself. I'll make that plan B now. Let me try this weird meditation and diet and so on. And it really turned my life around. And I found I could quiet down my mind enough to get little glimpses of what it meant to feel peaceful and happy. And you know, our whole culture, our whole advertising industry teaches us that if you just get more stuff, if you do more stuff, then you'll be happy. And it generally doesn't work out that way. So the paradox was that the more inwardly defined I became, the more I was actually able to go out and do service in the world.
I think it was that river that you just float down, and your life gets defined as you go down that river, and it becomes who you are and what you do. And then I think maybe the defining moment of realizing it was when I was at that conference and they asked us those 6 questions about why do you come to work? And that's when I realized.